Going on, y'all? How's your guys' day going? Hope you're having a good day. My day's good. Thank you for asking. What is worth saying? And I mean that very vaguely. I don't think that there is a better way to articulate the confusion I have when it comes to speaking anymore. And I don't just mean making videos, I mean in general, and for other people as well, not just myself. I typically try to come at life with, I don't want to say optimistic perspective, but from the perspective of what is required. And in a lot of ways, when you speak about these things, people tend to think that they're very pessimistic or cynical or nihilistic when you talk that way. And I don't know if it's just because people like talking for no reason, or if they're just, like basically an ignorance is bliss type of person, which there's nothing wrong with. But it just feels like nothing is worth saying anymore. It really feels like, and not just me, other people, from what I see other people, and I can't help but feel like everyone has gotten to this point that words no longer carry anything. They no longer carry. It's almost like bouncing a tennis ball off the wall, if I had to put it into an analogy. Or you just sit there and it's just the same thing every time, and it always, never changes. And it always come back, and it's like this weird repetition, this weird, like benign, just like nulling, like almost like static TV. I feel like that's all it is. It's just noise now, where it's just like, right? You just like imagine kind of like Charlie Brown almost. Right? Like I open my mouth and nothing comes out. It's like the phrase or the quote, "You've said so much yet have said nothing at all." Right? Like a lot of words with no meaning. You could say a lot and have said nothing at all. But it feels like that even just in a normal day-to-day example. It doesn't even have to be debates, politicians, social media. It doesn't even have to be those things anymore. It's like the roots of meaningless have sown so deep into humanity itself that we can't separate ourselves from ourselves. We can't separate ourselves from anything. And it feels like we've hit like this plateau, the edge, the end of, not the end of the world, but like the end of the road. There's nowhere else for us to go. I feel like that's like, and again, it sounds really pessimistic and it sounds very like nihilistic or depressing, and it's not meant to be, but it's almost like, man, like we've spent all of time, and I'm talking about from the dawn of humanity till today, we've just been running in circles. Like, nothing has changed. Nothing. Just the way that things look. That's it. People have not changed. The way in which we do things has not changed. The way we think, the way we feel. In a grand sense, at least, in an ultimate sense, right? Or I guess in a bigger picture, if you will. You can't even, or at least I can't even think without exhausting myself, or like responding to myself with the same level of noise, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know how to put it into words. It's just like, Like, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say. And don't get me wrong, I'm not just saying like, okay, for example, I definitely think more people need to learn to accept silence. That's a really big thing. I feel like people get people that get uncomfortable in silence. I don't want to say that's not normal, but it's something we need to get past. It's something we need to, in my opinion, mature past. I feel like people who get uncomfortable in silence are thinking of it in the most incorrect way possible, right? It's not that big of a deal, number one. And number two, anything you have to say out of the forcefulness of awkwardness is not going to be anything that is worth talking about. There's nothing worth saying. Like, don't get me wrong, making small talk and, having a conversation with somebody that you're next to just to fill the silence, that's kind of seen as an etiquette thing or as a respectful thing, or maybe just to pass the time, as they say, right? Oh, we're just passing time, making, chit chat, having a conversation. But that only works if you actually have something worth talking about, but it doesn't seem that way anymore. It doesn't seem like there's a thing. It isn't even necessarily talking in of itself. It's the things that we're talking about, right? I want to say we've exhausted all avenues, all corners, every book, every person, every expert, everyone has had something to say. And that, I feel like that's the problem. And not like in like a free speech way where it's like, oh, some people shouldn't be allowed to speak on things. But it's like, like I said, like it's an exhaustive thing. It's not so much like a you need to shut up thing. I guess there's a piece of hair in my face, keeps tickling my nose. It's like the gas has run out. The tank is empty, right? Why are you still hammering on the gas? You're still pushing, still trying to find something to say. I feel like that's how I feel. Even when, again, this is not just me talking about other people. This is me talking about myself too. It's like, man, like just give it a rest. Give it a rest. It's like I feel like I'm at the point where I want to go become a monk. I just want to go become a monk and say nothing and do nothing. Not do nothing, but like just go live on a mountain and sit crisscross applesauce and meditate for 17 hours. Like like how they always say, like, once you become older, you learn to appreciate the smaller things in life. And you often think about an older person in your life and you wonder, how is it that they're able to sit on the porch and do nothing but just sit on the porch? That's it. On the rocking chair, right? You think of like the stereotypical grandma, the stereotypical grandpa, where he's just sitting on the couch, rocking back and forth, watching the trees, watching the wind blow through, listening to a wind chime, some birds passing by, maybe say hi to the neighbor. Hey, how you doing? Right? That sounds beautiful. That sounds perfect. That sounds exactly like what not only I need, but I feel like everybody else needs. And yeah, obviously we don't have the luxury to do that, which is the sad part. But the even sadder part is that even if we did have the luxury to do that, would it even be enough? Would it actually bring us a sense of peace anymore? Like, peace is only as valuable as your internal self is, I guess. And not like a value system, but like, for example, if you feel like you haven't done a lot in life, you're not going to be at peace. So then you're not going to want to just chill. And then if you feel like on the other end that you've done so much, you're definitely not going to want, like, chill in the sense that you're just doing nothing. Now you're going to want to have some sort of, I guess, reward, or you're going to want to use all of that you've worked for to do other things that you've always wanted to do. You're not going to just do nothing, right? Like, it's like the idea, you work your whole life and then you retire, and then now you get to go play golf and and chill and do nothing, but like the right type of nothing, not just nothing. But for me, I just want to do nothing, absolutely nothing. I want to sit in my rocking chair and maybe play chess. That's about it. Play chess by myself, even though I suck. I'm not good at chess, but I'll just sit there and I'll play and I'll just listen to the wind. That sounds like heaven. That sounds amazing. And don't get me wrong, I love talking. I'm a chatterbox. I will talk your ear off. But even I have hit my point where I just ask myself every day, right? Like I watch YouTube all day long. I watch, or whenever I get the chance. And I try not to just kind of sit there mindlessly, which is something I've been trying to work on. And I feel like a lot of people talk about that, right? It's just sitting there kind of doing nothing or turning off your brain. Like it gets addicting. It really does get addicting when you learn how to turn off your brain. But anyways, I try to engage with things that force me to think, or to keep myself young, as they say, because that's what being young is. Being young is just learning. If you've ever heard the Henry Ford quote, that's what he says. He says, being old is stop learning. And I try to find things to engage with. I try to find things that force me to think. I try to find things to have a response to, or even look for inspiration, right? To make different videos. I'll be like, oh, what can I look up? What can I figure out what I can watch so I can make an interesting YouTube video? So I can actually have something to say that will resonate with people other than just, oh, that's a cool thought, or oh, I never thought about it that way. Like, don't get me wrong, that's fun, but it has to be more. It always, and I don't know, maybe that's just me being a perfectionist, but the thing is, I'm that way just day to day. Even I'm not even like trying to do that in a performative way where like, oh, I'm trying so hard to look for cool stuff to say. It's more like I genuinely just value my words. I don't know. And I don't want to find myself blabbering, again, how I said earlier, just Charlie Brown, where I don't know what's more of an issue, so to speak. Because the way that I think about it is, it's obviously, again, like a circle, but it starts somewhere. And so my question is, I don't know if it starts with the people who talk too much or the people who don't talk enough. And yeah, obviously the correct answer is both. But it's like, who doesn't want to talk to somebody that also, I guess, shares an interest? And it doesn't have to be almost like necessarily the thing, but just talking in of itself. I don't know. It's like, yeah, sure, not everybody wants to talk all the time, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But then you have the people who approach conversation, again, like mindlessly, where it's just, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah, sometimes that's just the way it is. And then that's it. That's all they have to say. And there's nothing wrong with that answer. But if that's how you think all the time, no matter what, about every single thing that happens to you, like, what the hell, man? Like, what's going on up there? At least that's how I think about it. And maybe this is just me making a small thing a big thing. I don't know. It could be that too. It could be a lot of different things. But, like, for example, I have a group of friends who I talk to a lot, and they like to ask me a lot of questions. And I love questions. Questions are my bread and butter. Right? Like, if I was able to have a conversation with you, or if we were able to go back and forth, I would be able, and I'm being so serious when I say this because I've actually done it, and I hope you believe me. I have spoke for 6 hours. I'll never forget it. I've spoken for 4 hours. I've spoken, I think the max I've spoken to somebody, like in a setting, like just sitting there and talking for 6 hours straight. I could actually do that, and I think it's impressive. But anyways, what was I talking about? I forget what I was talking about. Oh, question. So if you're talking to somebody and they're asking questions, the conversation just gets better the longer it goes. Kind of like battle rap, right? The longer it goes, or the longer that somebody is going and going and going, like it just keeps getting better and better and better, and it just keeps stacking, and what's the word? I can't remember what. It's not cascading. I guess stacks. It just stacks up, or like a snowball, right? It just gets better and better and better the more that it goes. But then, if you run into the type of person who doesn't ask any questions at all, man, then that's when you start thinking about things like, well, what's worth even saying? What's the point, right? Like, what can I even say, or what should I say, or should I say anything at all? I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's the sad part. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Let me know if you disagree or agree.